the mystery that scientists still can't explain. In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers went into mountains of Russia, and something out there made them cut their own tent open from the inside and run out into minus 30-degree weather without their shoes. Some of them were barely dressed. One woman was missing her tongue. And to this day, nobody, not scientists, not investigators, not the Russian government, has ever been able to explain what really happened that night. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why, over 60 years later, people are still losing sleep over it. Let's get into it. Part 1, the expedition. In late January 1959, a group of 10 hikers set out from the Ural Polytechnical Institute in the Soviet Union. They were led by a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov, sharp, experienced, and well-respected by his peers. The goal was simple, at least on paper. Reach Otorten Mountain, a peak whose name in the local Mansi language is said to mean "don't go there." Yes, that's the actual translation. Keep that in mind. This wasn't a group of amateurs. Every member was an experienced skier and hiker, several of them seasoned in Grade 2 hikes, which in Soviet mountaineering terms meant serious, technical winter treks. This was routine for them. Cold, remote, difficult terrain was exactly what they signed up for. One member, Yuri Yudin, developed knee and joint pain early into the trip and turned back before the group reached the final and most dangerous stretch. That decision saved his life. He would spend the rest of his life as the last person to see the other 9 alive. The remaining 9 pressed on: Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Ludmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Rustam Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko, Alexander Zolotaryov, Yuri Krivonischenko, and Nikolai the Beau Brignoles. 7 men, 2 women, all of them experienced, all of them well prepared for a brutal Ural winter. They were expected to send a telegram once they returned to a nearby town. That telegram never came. Part 2, the search. When the group failed to check in by the expected date, at first nobody panicked. Delays were common on expeditions like this. But as days passed with no word, alarms set in. Search parties, including volunteers, police, and eventually the military, were sent into the Ural Mountains to find them. What they found, on February 26th, almost 3 weeks after the group had last been seen, will become one of the most disturbing scenes in the history of outdoor exploration. The searchers found the group's tent on the slope of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kolotsyko, which in their language translates to Dead Mountain. Not exactly comforting. Given what they were about to discover, the tent was still partially set up, half covered in snow, but it had been cut open, not from the outside, from the inside. Someone or something had caused enough panic inside that tent that the hikers didn't take the time to unzip the entrance. They sliced straight through the canvas and fled. Inside, searchers found the hikers' belongings, including their boots, coats, and warm gear, left behind. Whatever happened, it happened so fast, or so terrifyingly, that experienced winter hikers ran out into sub-zero temperatures without their shoes on. Part 3, what they found. Following footprints in the snow. Footprints of people wearing socks, or in some cases, no shoes at all. Searchers followed a trail leading down toward a tree line more than a kilometer away. Under a large cedar tree, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonischenko. Both were in their underwear. Both showed signs that they had tried to climb the tree, high enough to break branches, likely trying to see the tent or spot a way back. Near the tree was evidence of a small fire, barely enough to keep 2 people alive for even a short while in that cold. Between the cedar and the tent, 3 more bodies were found in positions that suggested they had been trying to make their way back to the tent when they died. Dyatlov himself, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin. Investigators believe they froze to death one by one as they tried to return for supplies that were left behind. It took nearly 2 more months after the snow began to melt before the final 4 bodies were found, buried under several meters of snow in a ravine further into the woods. And this is where the case stopped looking like a tragic story of hikers caught in bad weather and started looking like something else entirely. Part 4, the injuries. The last 4 bodies, Dubinina, Zolotaryov, Kolevatov, and the Beau Brignoles, had injuries that still don't have a clean explanation. Alexander Zolotaryov and Nikolai the Bobrignals both had major skull fractures. Lyudmila Dubinina and Zolotaryov both had severe chest fractures, the kind of blunt force trauma typically seen in high-speed car accidents. The force required to cause this kind of damage was, according to Soviet medical examiners, comparable to being hit by a moving vehicle. And yet, there was no external bruising or soft tissue damage on the outside of their bodies. Whatever crushed their ribs and skulls did so without breaking the skin. Then there's Lyudmila Dubinina. Her body was missing its tongue, eyes, part of the lips, and facial tissue. For decades, this detail alone fueled some of the wildest theories about the case, until later analysis suggested this damage was more likely caused by small animals and decomposition after weeks in a running stream at the base of the ravine. Still unsettling, still difficult to look at, even in the original case photos, which have since been made public. And then there's the radiation. Some of the clothing recovered from the group tested positive for elevated levels of radioactivity. To this day, no one has been able to definitively explain why. Part 5. The Theories. Naturally, a mystery this strange has produced no shortage of explanations over the decades. Let's go through the major ones. Avalanche. This is the most widely accepted modern theory, revived by a 2019 Russian investigation and later supported by a 2021 study published by Swiss and Russian researchers using slab avalanche physics modeling. The idea is that a small, delayed slab avalanche struck the tent after the hikers had cut into the slope to set up camp, causing panic and the crush-style injuries. Critics point out that no visible avalanche debris was found at the scene, and the injury pattern is still hard to fully reconcile with a typical avalanche. Katabatic winds and infrasound. Some scientists have proposed that violent downslope winds, combined with specific mountain topography, generated infrasound, sound below the range of human hearing, that can cause panic, nausea, and irrational fear in people exposed to it. Under this theory, the hikers may have been overcome with a sudden, inexplicable sense of dread and fled the tent in blind panic. Soviet military involvement. Given the Cold War era, some believe the group stumbled into a secret weapons test, possibly involving early experimental parachute mines or rocket debris, which some say could explain the radiation and the crushing injuries. Declassified documents haven't confirmed this, but conspiracy theorists point to the remote timing and location as suspicious. The Mansi people. Early investigators actually considered that the local indigenous Mansi people may have attacked the group for trespassing on sacred land. Remember, Koletsaiko means dead mountain, and the original destination, Otorten, roughly translates to don't go there. This theory was largely dismissed, as there was no evidence of struggle involving other people, and relations with the Mansi were not known to be hostile. And then, of course, there's the fringe theories, Yeti attacks, aliens, secret experiments gone wrong. None of these hold up under real scrutiny, but they've kept this case alive in pop culture for over 60 years. Part 6. Why it still matters. Here's the thing that makes the Dyatlov Pass Incident different from 100 other unsolved mysteries. This wasn't a group of unprepared thrill seekers. These were 9 skilled, rational, experienced people who knew exactly how dangerous the Ural winter could be. And something made them abandon every instinct of survival training they had, cutting open their only shelter and running into a sub-zero night without their boots on. Whatever frightened them was bad enough that basic self-preservation logic broke down entirely. The Russian government officially reopened the investigation in 2019, and in 2020 concluded that an avalanche was the most likely cause. But even that official closure hasn't fully satisfied researchers, family members, or the public, because so many small details still don't perfectly fit. The radiation, the specific injury pattern, the missing tongue, the fact that no avalanche debris was ever documented at the actual scene. Maybe one day, someone will find a missing piece that makes every detail click into place. Or maybe, like a lot of history's strangest cases, this is one we'll never fully understand, just get closer and closer to without ever quite arriving. So, what do you think really happened on that mountain? Let me know in the comments. And if this kind of story is your thing, history's strangest, most unexplainable moments, make sure you're subscribed, because this is exactly the kind of thing I dig into every week. I'll see you in the next one.